My name is Marae Rose Williams, and I'm an editorial writer for the Kansas City Star. I've worked for the Star for 23 years, but I've been a journalist for going on 40 years now. Um, the Truth in Black and White was a project that the Star took on. I suggested that we look inward at ourselves during a time, 2020, when the nation and the world really, but the nation in particular, was going through what has been dubbed the reckoning on race. And I thought it was an appropriate time for our newspaper to reflect and look inward at how we had reported on for 100 years or more the African American community in Kansas City, Missouri. I knew at that time that newspapers, mainstream newspapers, had not done a good job, and wanted us to take a look. And what we found was that over the years, the Kansas City Star, like other mainstream newspapers in this country, had either failed to or poorly covered African American communities. And the coverage that they did give them was inadequate to say the least, but so much of it was stereotypical, in which African Americans were depicted as criminals or the recipients of crime or caricature-like. And the attributes of the African American community and the contributions of the African American community, those things were not reported on. And as a result, we were guilty of perpetuating racism in Kansas City. We discovered some of these things by going to the Black press and reading the Black press and what they were saying about the Black community compared to what we were saying about the Black community. And we found, vast differences in that coverage. One of the things that we wanted to do was not just write an apology that was going to appear on our front page that says we're sorry for having done this. What we wanted to do was, and what we did do, was actually show our readers what those offenses looked like, how we had failed. And we wanted to assure our readers that we were going to do better going forward, not just in our coverage, but internally as a newsroom, as a media organization. And as a result of that, one of the first things that we did was we put together an advisory board from the community, very diverse advisory board that we meet with once a month, or editors meet with once a month, and talk about some of the things that we're working on, and also hear from them about some of the things that may be going on in the community that we are not aware of or are not working on, and also get some feedback from them about how we are being perceived in the community. Another thing that we did was we hired our first ever race and equities editor to sort of oversee some of this coverage. The hiring has changed at the Star. We've hired so many young and diverse reporters and editors at the Star, so it's changed the face of the Star. In addition to that, the people who worked on this project, and it really was across the board, the people who worked on this project were really touched and felt it deeply. And it changed the way we go about doing stories. We no longer write about the marginalized community. We allow the marginalized community to tell their stories, and we look for those stories. And we're very conscious of how we go about presenting those stories. And from everything, from the wording, from the text of the story, to the photos, and the tone of the stories, it gives you an opportunity to really see who you are, not to just assume that you are actually reaching your community, that you are actually reporting the truth about who your community is, the whole of your community. And when you look back and see where you have failed, that's the only time that you can start to mend those broken places. One of the things that was very important to us was that we've heard for years, and I know mainstream newspapers around the country have heard this, is that um, African American communities do not trust mainstream media. So if you can bridge that communication gap that's there, if you can bridge that by doing a project like this, it is it's invaluable, and it'll go on for generations. It's valuable in that you become better journalists by doing this. Your community respects and appreciates you more. Um, and there's no loss in doing a project like this.